Hey, what's up? I'm Liora Sophie. I'm an author of urban fantasy and spiritual fiction and also a hopeless insomniac. No, I don't mean hopeless, I mean a highly experienced insomniac. What's up? In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that have helped me fall asleep. I have struggled with sleep for a really long time, so I've developed a couple of techniques and coping mechanisms that they don't work like magic, but they are often helpful. Each one of the different techniques has been helpful for me at a different time in my life. Now, just a general note about sleep hygiene. One of the things they say is to make sure that your bed is like only for sleep and sex, and to try to be asleep for like 90% of the time that you're in bed. For people with insomnia, you often kind of start to notice that that's not the case. So when you feel like, ugh, I am not asleep and I am not going to sleep anytime soon, get out of bed. So I have a little corner. Really see it in this light. Well, that is good because it is full of laundry. I have a little nook here that I set up with these low lights and a pillow and a blanket. That's where I sit if I'm just not going to sleep and I need to read or watch a series or something that is mellow but not sleep. So I do that in the corner that is in my room. If you live in a tiny dorm room like I did, where you don't have anywhere else to sit except for your bed, it's fine to do homework in bed. Just make sure that you orient yourself a little bit differently. So like sit with your back against a different wall than the one you would be against if you were sleeping or something. Just make sure that your body knows that this is like work time rather than sleep time. Another thing I do to prepare for bed is about 3 hours before I want to go to bed. I think of that as my going to bed window, where I sort of start to wind down from my day and do things that are a little bit less stressful and a little bit more relaxing. I have a blue light filter on my phone that goes on automatically. You can set it to go on any time of day you want. And it softens the temperature of the light that's coming from my phone. So even if I am looking at my phone, it's more gentle on my eyes and my brain and whatever. It kind of is a little bit quieter with the wake up, be awake, be stimulated message that the screen lights tend to send to your brain. So that blue light filter really helps. People will talk about sleep hygiene and they'll be like, oh, just, don't be on your phone. And like, that's not always an option. A lot of my things that I listen to and read before I go to sleep are on my phone. I also have these really great string lights with a remote control. Okay, so these are amethyst string lights. Let's see if we can really get a nice picture of them there. They're like these little amethysts. Came with a remote control. When I come up to bed, instead of putting on the like big overhead white light, I actually just put these on. So the first thing is what I like to call the brain dump. I keep a notebook in my bed, especially if it's one with like a shiny cover that says no problema on it. Before I go to sleep, I just open a page and I just write down everything that is going on in my brain. And it doesn't have to be incoherent sentences. I just, like, if there's a song stuck in my head, I'll just write down the title of the song, or if I remember, oh crap, I have to call this person, I'll just write down, call Carissa. Try to sort of envision emptying my mind of all the stuff that I'm thinking of, all the crap that's going on in my head. And that has been super helpful. I especially find that to be helpful in preventing nightmares and bad dreams, which is something I have had a lot of trouble with. When I do this emptying of my mind before I fall asleep, I do find that I have fewer nightmares. To kind of help relax right before sleep, and this is my trusty lavender candle. I light it when I start to get ready for bed, and the smell kind of fills up my room, and it's just a nice calming, relaxing smell. Why did I think that was a good idea? Magnesium flakes and putting them in the bath, they are super relaxing. It's just awesome. Also really soothing for the skin. I'm also super sensitive to light and noise. If there's like even the tiniest bit of delicate street light coming into my window, someone breathing in the background can make it hard for me to fall asleep. When I was living in the Hebrew dorms during college, I procured these two methods. This is an eye mask. It is not a crappy eye mask like the kind you get on the airplane. This is a memory foam eye mask. It was about $12 or $13. So worth it. A lot of eye masks, sometimes the fabric is too thin to actually block out light, and sometimes if you don't adjust it exactly right, the light will come in and still keep you awake. So this really adjusts nicely to the shape of your face. It's soft, it's fuzzy, and it has these little pockets here for, I'm guessing, keeping these in. So this was a really awesome buy. I'll put a link in the description. Earplugs. I have been through a score of different kinds of earplugs. I've tried silicone, wax, the basic styrofoam earplugs, and in the end, I've landed on these. I think they're from Walmart. Basic foam earplugs, but they are, instead of just being like straight, they are a little bit flared at the bottom. It kind of implies to me that they're the better quality foam earplugs. So the advantage of these is they don't ever tell you this about on the packaging of earplugs, and I always used to look at people and be like, how are your earplugs sitting in your ear? Roll them like this between your hands so that they're super thin. Right before they start to inflate, right in the second, you like stick them really, really quickly into your ear, and I kind of hold them there for a second and they will inflate. It's not complete silence. It doesn't make it so quiet that I can't hear anything. What it does is it kind of mutes the noise enough so that my brain doesn't hyper focus on it. I also like to make sure that my room is really dark. One of the things I do is I close the blinds all the way. That can also be a problem because I need the sunlight in the morning in order to wake up. For that, the wake up light has been super helpful solution. This is my wake up light. Plugs into a USB thing, and then it charges. You can actually charge the battery and it'll keep its battery for like 3 days or something. But I keep it plugged in most of the time. It has this awesome feature where it changes colors. So like if I tap it, yo, rainbow, creating a big... I just outed myself as awake at 3:47 in the morning. How awesome is that? Here's what happens. You set an alarm about half an hour before the alarm goes off. This will start to gradually increase the light, and it's a very nice light. It's a very warm light. It starts really, really faint, and then it just gradually over half an hour gets brighter and brighter. And when you set the alarm, this one came with 5 different alarm sounds. I always go for the birds. It's just a really nice, gentle way to wake up. That's not the terrifying strike of an alarm clock that like shoots the cortisol through your body. That's actively painful. It allows me to sleep with the blinds really closed, but also get light in the morning. Up until now, everything I've said has been kind of natural or behavioral things that can help you fall asleep, but it's relevant to mention medication. There are a lot of really good medications out there, both over the counter and prescription, that can really help with sleep. Some of them are really harmless and really fine to take, and if sleep is something you struggle with, there's no reason not to explore this option. Anytime you're taking any kind of medication, you should always talk to a prescriber and get something that is right for you. I have experience with natural stuff and over-the-counter stuff and prescribed stuff. You can take medication that can help with your sleep, and if it helps with your sleep, it can help a whole lot of other things. It is important to sleep. It's important to sleep, it's important to stay asleep, it's important to fall asleep. Also, the reason I even started taking anything at all is because I suffer from really bad anxiety while I'm falling asleep. I mean, I suffer from anxiety generally, but also the transition between right when I'm starting to relax and my brain is starting to sort of be like, okay, we're about to go into this nice, cozy dream space. That is when it starts to freak the hell out. I started like imagining really horrible, vivid, terrifying things that I could not stop thinking about. I could not get the images out of my brain. When I told this to my psychiatrist, she said, don't you think that maybe you're anxious because your life is just really, really hard? It makes sense that after a day of working so hard just to survive, that your body would, when you are starting to feel relaxed, that is when your body feels the safest to just let it rip. Let it all out. Bring on all the crazy, terrifying thoughts, and your mind starts to relax, and it goes into this place that's like in between your conscious and subconscious, and it just feels safe to let out all the anxiety. It was really validating for me to hear this from my psychiatrist. It makes sense that you're anxious at that time when your brain is the most relaxed and the world is crazy and difficult. So it makes sense. That is why I started taking medication. I started on a different medication that was there to help both with anxiety and sleep. It just helped me transition into sleep without experiencing those terrifying, intrusive thoughts. And that was a game changer for me. On the subject of medication, I also want to mention nightmares because I have also had really horrific, vivid, terrifying nightmares that turned out to be a side effect of a different medication I was taking, and I don't remember which. Probably Cymbalta, because Cymbalta was like a horror story for me. Sometimes nightmares can be a side effect of anxiety, and you can medicate your side effects, but you can also go to your psychiatrist or go to your doctor and say, I'm having nightmares, and it is in fact sometimes a side effect of medication. This is a weighted blanket. It's, first of all, really soft and awesome. Weighted blankets like to market themselves like it feels like I'm getting a really big hug. It doesn't. It does really help with restless legs syndrome. So if you have that, it's when your legs kind of like jump and move around by themselves and it's kind of hard to get them to calm down, and that can really be a problem with sleep. So the weighted blanket is really good for that. You know, it's generally comforting and really fun to be under. It kind of reminds my legs to chill out. It like gives them the message. It's like, hey, it's quiet time now. Being from the Middle East, I am familiar with the concern that this might be too hot to sleep under, so you can actually get these with a cooling option. This is not one of the fancy schmancy expensive ones. This one was actually like $50. I'll tell you which one it is in the description. I sleep under it, and I also use it just around the house if I feel like I'm getting anxious and I just need to chill out under my blanket. I just also totally use it for that. It's really awesome. Once I'm lying in bed, I really like to listen to stuff because that kind of helps get me out of my head and prevent that sort of downward spiral into the rabbit hole of every embarrassing thing that ever happened to me when I was a kid, and the intrusive thoughts, and that random thing someone said on the internet, and all of the spinning thoughts that really have a tendency to keep me awake. I've actually listened to a lot of different things over the years. So one of the things is audiobooks. I really love audiobooks. My Audible app has a sleep timer, which is amazing for falling asleep, not so amazing for remembering where I was and what happened in the book the next day, but like, you know, I just rewind, kind of go back to the last thing I remember, and then I listen to it again. One of the things that I discovered when I was living in the dorms is sleep hypnosis tracks. The word hypnosis probably sounds a little scary, but the truth is it's not. Like, they don't hypnotize you to do stuff, okay? They don't like control your mind or anything. It's just suggestions. Jody Whiteley has a lot of free hypnosis tracks available on their YouTube channel. And some people can't stand Jodie Whiteley's voice. I personally do like Whiteley's voice. I find their videos very helpful for falling asleep. And they're always very understanding about people's different fears about hypnosis, and they always kind of say, if you don't feel that what I said is right for you, feel free to ignore it and just listen to the sound of my voice. Another album that I really love is Deep Sleep Hypnosis with Binaural Delta Waves by Anna Thompson. I actually found it on iTunes, I think, but it's available on Spotify as well. I really love this album. I bought it back when I was using like an iPod and stuff. It's just a really soothing thing to listen to. It's like guided imagery. There are all sorts of visualizations that you can tell yourself to do, focusing on your breathing and, imagining that your limbs are getting very heavy. But personally, it's hard for me to remember all that stuff, and it's also hard sometimes to tell yourself to do it. It's really useful to have someone else to guide your mind through all these things. I also sometimes just put on Ambience or ASMR, like a white noise track that's just like the sound of rain or whales. Whales, right? Terry Jeffords, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Doesn't he listen to whale sounds? It's a real thing. They're all on YouTube. Some people don't like to have their phone next to them when they're falling asleep, and that is legit. So I have a pillow speaker, which is a really tiny flat speaker that connects to your music player. You put it under your pillow, and then when you put your ear on the pillow, you can hear what's coming out the speaker, and it's really soft and nice. Like, it's soft enough that someone in the bed next to me won't hear what's coming out of my pillow unless I really turn it all the way up. And you can turn it down enough so that you hear it and they can't hear it. So it's kind of like headphones, but without the stick in your ear that is never comfortable to lie on if you like lying on your side. I also had a pair of cozy phones that was like a headband with the speakers in both ears, because when you're listening to a sleep hypnosis, it's really good to have the surround sound effect. Earbuds are so uncomfortable when you're lying down. Cozy phones are a really good solution. Like I said before, each method has been helpful for a different thing. Try something for a bit, and if it doesn't work, try something else. And it's really important to keep track of what you've tried and what you haven't, and how long you tried it for. And so I really recommend tracking. Track your symptoms, track your sleep, track how well you slept, track how good you feel in the morning when you get up, what times you get up. Another thing people talk about when they send you that, that guidelines to proper sleep hygiene is like, go to bed at the same time every night, wake up at the same time every day. It's really hard to do these things when it's so hard to fall asleep. Hopefully some of my tips should be helpful to people who struggle with sleep. Sleep is a super, super important thing. On not good sleep, humans just don't work properly. We need to turn ourselves off and on again. And if we don't do that, things get bad. So Appa says there are a lot of things that can help you get good sleep. Try them out. Talk to your doctor. Talk to a sleep specialist. Talk to a psychiatrist. Try any of the things that I mentioned. I'm going to put links to pretty much anything I mentioned in the description. If there's something else that you'd like to see a video on, drop a comment. I have a lot of experience unfortunately, with stuff like this. Let me know if there's something else that you'd be interested in hearing about, and I'm happy to make a video. This is Appa, for those who don't know, and Appa says, get comfortable. Okay, that's all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And buy a coffee for Appa. There's a link in the description for that. He's a big boy, so he might need to. Sleep well and have good dreams and wake up refreshed. I'll see you around the tube. Bye.